I hope you had a chance to get out there today and walk or run, do something, to move. I jumped on a phone call with an old friend of mine. He surprised me and called me out of nowhere. I was on my way to a date, and this guy has known me since elementary school, but we really didn't become friends until high school, freshman year. We were on the football team. I figured I'd try football for a year, and I was terrible at it. I'm not a very big sports person, hence why I've just kind of picked up running. There's really nothing to it. But anyway, so me and him really just, he helped me out through a lot. So when my family would leave me and go out of town for holidays, and I would stay with him for Thanksgiving, Christmas, things like that. His family was really there for me. And I think recently his parents got a divorce. I don't know. It's probably not recent. It's probably like, 2019, 2018. We're in our 30s. So it still was a huge impact on them. I don't know if it's better or worse to wait, but, he called me and just to kind of check in on me. And he really just encouraged me, man. I told him that I'm doing okay. I think every day that I'm alive and, don't have a bullet in my mouth. Not that that's funny or anything, but, it's a serious issue. But every day that we're alive is very important, and I don't know what the stats are, but I think 70 to 80% of suicides are men. And we just kind of struggle silently, right? And I guess it's a way of coping to kind of joke about that stuff in my case, but not that it's a funny thing, but it's just the way we process stuff. Or some of us. But he really told me, he's like, look, bro, he said, I'm proud of you. Even though you feel like you were just about to get some leeway, you're basically started a new level and you feel like you're at the beginning. He says, even though that's the case, he's like, bro, your whole life has been a fight. You've always been a fighter. Ever since you were born, you were just born into circumstances where you had to fight. And he said that if he was in my position, that he would have caved in and probably become an addict or something. And I told him, we've both come very far. And it's good to hear from someone, that's seen me, through it all, or through a lot of it. And it got me thinking where I started to fight. My father being shot when my mother was pregnant with me, losing his leg, which kind of launched us into poverty, and gave me a lot of resentment and anger, and I was in a lot of situations where I shouldn't have been as a child, so I used my anger to get control. And I think that's kind of where I learned to not give up. I remember being 10, being really young, and my brother being maybe 14, 15, 16 years old, something like that. And we got in this huge fight, and he was whooping my ass. I had braces, I think, at the time. No, I didn't. Anyway, so I remember my mouth bleeding and us fighting. And I remember being so stubborn that I literally made him give up. because no matter how much he whooped my ass, I was just so filled with rage that I refused to stop until he gave up. And, you know, there's always been situations where I found myself in with older people and, you know, with drugs and violence and all this stuff like that, where the first thing I asked is this: am I respected in this place? And that's kind of where my life has been, you know? Been forced to fight. I remember when I started going to church and working, I think I had like an internship. I was going to college full-time, and I had a part-time job, and I was doing an internship program. And I remember I was driving a motorcycle, and everyone in my home was using drugs except for me. And I remember the toll that it took on me, and me having to move out and live with my youth pastor. And I remember having to buy this motorcycle because it was the only thing I could afford. You know, my parents weren't going to help me with anything, you know, and I didn't expect them to. I've always had to kind of figure shit out. You know, they've always had their own issue. Now, one of my goals would, you know, I've made peace with my parents. I love them. My dad's birthday is tomorrow. But one of my goals has been, I'd love to be able to send their asses to Mexico. One, get rid of them, but two, you know, be able to retire them. That'd be amazing. And so I think looking back in retrospect, I think realizing, man, nothing much has changed. I've always fought. And he told me, he's like, dude, you've been through things that are way worse than this. You know, part of me doesn't agree with that. I think getting a divorce is pretty shitty, but it is what it is. Having 2 car accidents, being labeled the villain, I don't really care. As long as I'm still standing and moving forward, I refuse to give up. I refuse to start fighting. I refuse to stop running until something takes me out. And I hope you're in the same boat. Whether you're struggling or whether you're doing well, I hope you keep fighting for what you want. I hope you stay persistent and you keep moving forward. That's what you were created to do. Is to move forward. To get shit done. To have dreams and pursue them. Because no one else is going to do this shit for you. No one else, bro. No one else. You got to get this done. No one's going to hand you what you want. You got to go out and fight for it. I love you. I hope you're doing well. Keep fighting. Even when your back's against the wall.